I'm Amelia Valdez for Tom's River Schools today. We're here at NEA's Big Read, where we got the chance to speak to Emily St. John Mandel, the author of the nationally best-selling book Station 11. Let's go see what she has to say.
I used to be a dancer. That was my first impractical artistic career. And there was a moment when I was about 21 when I'd been training intensively for my entire life to be a dancer. And I was just kind of done, to be honest. I guess I didn't really enjoy it very much anymore. So I started to think, well, what comes next? I'd been writing for my entire life, just as a hobby. And it was around that time that I started to take writing more seriously and began writing what eventually became my first novel, Last Night in Montreal. My other three novels, The Singer's Gun was my second novel. That came out in 2010. That was about a man who sells fake passports to undocumented immigrants in New York City. My third novel was called The Lola Quartet, and that came out in 2012. And that one was about a disgraced journalist in New York City during the economic collapse. And he ends up selling foreclosed real estate in South Florida and finds out that he might have a daughter from his high school girlfriend who disappeared 10 years ago. And then my most recent novel, Station 11, came out in 2014. And that book is about a traveling Shakespearean theater company and orchestra in a post-apocalyptic North America. But about half of it is actually set in the present day. So I see it as being more a book about the importance of art in our lives and what we try to preserve in moments when things fall apart. There were a number of starting points. One of them is I just wanted to write about the lives of actors. I'm interested in film and theater, and I wanted to write about what it means to devote your life to your art, the costs, the joys of that. So I thought, well, maybe I'll just write about the lives of actors in a traveling company. That could be kind of interesting. But then at the same time, I also wanted to write about the technology that surrounds us, that we completely take for granted. And it seemed to me an interesting way to do that might be to write about its absence. So what does it look like when all of the telecommunications and air travel and electricity suddenly fall away? What do we long for and try to preserve? People carry on after a catastrophe. In the way that people are not satisfied with mere survival, even in the aftermath of a catastrophe. There was a video that was going around YouTube of people singing songs with guitars, playing music in shelters after Hurricane Harvey. So that's something that we'll do, even when we don't have homes, even when there's no electricity. And I think that instinct for art and storytelling is something that really connects us across cultures and countries. I think that fiction writers do inevitably borrow elements of our own lives when we're writing our fiction. So there are a few autobiographical elements. A couple of the characters come from a very small island to the west coast of Canada. And that's the island where I grew up. I just changed the name. And I definitely used my experiences at that place when I was writing their lives. So little things like that find their way in. To be honest, there's no message. An idea that I really like that I came across a few years ago is that no two readers ever read the same book. It's a quote from Edmund Wilson, who was a writer and critic in New York in the 50s. And I really like that idea, that every reader comes at any given book through the lens of our own personal experiences. And in that spirit, I kind of feel like a reader's relationship with my book is almost none of my business. It's kind of between them and the book. So I think 10 people will read the book and come away with 10 different messages, and that's absolutely fine. I didn't write it with teenagers in mind. I was thinking of it as adult fiction, but I mean, I read adult fiction when I was 14, and it's definitely appropriate for a lot of kids. So I think it's really wonderful. It's kind of an honor to think about my book being taught in schools.
Did you know that Canadian-born author Emily St. John Mandel has written 3 other books, all of which were Indie Next picks? For Tom's River Schools Today, I'm Amelia Valdez.